Thank you. President von der Leyen, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. We had a very productive UCO, so let me jump right in. First on Ukraine. We start with good news. The tide is turning. Antonio and I congratulated President Zelensky on the opening of the first cluster. This is a major milestone. Now our goal is to open more clusters before the summer. And we also agreed on the rollover of the Russian sanctions, and importantly, this time for 12 months, no more for 6 months. And this too sends a very strong message. And we continue our work to finalize the 21st package of sanctions. These are hard-biting sanctions that will keep the pressure on Russia. And at the same time, we have to prepare when negotiations start. Second, on the Middle East, the interim agreement between the United States and Iran is a breakthrough and an important opportunity to ensure freedom of navigation toll-free in the Strait of Hormuz, to ensure that Iran never has nuclear weapons, to address concerns related to the ballistic programs and regional activities, and ultimately to advance peace and security across the region. This crisis has underscored an important lesson. We must not allow the global economy to be held hostage. We need to develop other routes and corridors, for example, in that region, the IMEC. And for that, we will deepen our engagement with our partners in the Gulf and beyond. And this will be a topic that will be discussed the next time we meet the Gulf countries. Finally, what is happening in Lebanon is deeply concerning. A stable and peaceful Middle East also requires a stable and sovereign Lebanon. We support the Lebanese leadership's effort to achieve the disarmament of Hezbollah. At the same time, it is important that Israel respects both the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Lebanon. Now to my third point. We had very good discussions at G7 earlier this week, and now also last night we had a very productive discussion on the structural overcapacities and the impact on global imbalances. And let me bring it back to Europe with some figures concerning main economic partners. Over the last 5 years, imports, for example, from China into the European Union have increased by 45%. Last year, the European Union recorded its largest ever trade deficit with China, 360 billion euros. That is a deficit of 1 billion euros per day. And for the first time, all member states had a trade deficit. This is not just about cheap imports. We see overcapacities that erode our own manufacturing base. And this is simply not sustainable. We know very well that we must do our homework first to boost our own competitiveness, but we also have to address the global imbalances. Our discussions showed clear support for continuing the path of diversification and de-risking our relationship. On one hand, we must avoid dependencies that can be weaponized. This means that we are accelerating the de-risking process, de-risking, not decoupling. On the other hand, we will keep protecting our market from unfair practices. Europe has already built an extensive toolbox in the recent years. Now we must use it more proactively and more strategically to defend our European interests. And indeed, as President Costa said, the Commission will work on new tools, such as a diversification instrument. I'm pleased that we saw clear support for a European response based on unity among the member states and dialogue with China, which remains crucial. The Commission will take this forward, and the topic will remain high on our common agenda. Now turning to internal matters. Today, of course, we also discussed the next European budget. The Council has now reached an agreement on the new MFF architecture. That is an important step forward. It shows that member states share the Commission's ambition for a simpler and future-proof budget, a budget that equips Europe to compete, strengthens its security and defence, and its capacity to act in a more challenging world. A budget that will support our farmers, our regions and our communities across the Union. And for the first time, we have a negotiating box with figures, thanks to the Cypriot presidency. This is another major step forward. Of course, no one sees the ideal budget immediately in this box, but it is a solid basis for negotiation, just as you said, for the next presidency then to take forward. Now we must maintain the level of ambition, and this must be matched by the means to deliver. This is also why we need a robust and stable system of new own resources, and why by our next meeting we should have a shared understanding of how we want to finance the next MFF. Dear Nikos, last but certainly not least, this agreement in the Council was a real breakthrough, and so I want to thank you and specifically also your whole team over there for the extremely hard work, the skillful steer, the overview, the delivery. This was really fantastic, so many, many thanks for that. With the Irish presidency, with this foundation, the Irish presidency has a very good basis to start and to build on. But this is only one of your achievements. Your presidency came at a very demanding time. Cyprus has been vital as a bridge with the Middle East. It really paid off that since many, many years you have excellent relationship to the region. Friendship, partnership built on trust. This really paid off. And your work has helped keep us closely engaged with the region when the dialogue mattered most. Your presidency also delivered on Europe's most important priorities, from support to Ukraine to progress on enlargement, the likes of which we haven't seen in years, I must say, from competitiveness and simplification with agreements on a number of omnibuses to a common European system of returns, and I could go on and on and on. The list is long. I also want to congratulate you on the agreement reached on the air passenger rights. It was the first major overhaul of these rules in 2 decades, and they matter so much in the daily lives of European citizens. Passengers enjoy clearer compensation rules now, airlines have greater legal certainty, and everyone benefits. So you and your team can be very, very proud of what you have achieved. Thank you very much. Efaristo, my friend.